Have you ever noticed that people only seem to remember you when they need something? Have you ever given your time, your energy, your peace of mind, and even your sleep just to be forgotten the moment they don't need you anymore? This story, my friends, begins with a truth most people are afraid to face. In a quiet town nestled among wide green fields and old charming houses, there lived a man named Daniel. Everyone in town knew Daniel. It's not because he was wealthy, not because he was powerful, but simply because he was always, and I mean always, available. If a neighbor's door was broken, Daniel was the first one called. Boxes were too heavy to lift, Daniel would suddenly appear ready to help. If someone felt lonely and just needed an ear, Daniel would sit and listen for hours. He never refused a request. He never delayed his help. He never even asked why. You see, Daniel believed that kindness was his life's purpose. He held on to the hope that one day, people would remember everything he had done for them, and they did praise him. They smiled at him. They thanked him profusely, but it was always just in words. As time went on, something strange and subtle began to happen. Daniel's life slowly stopped being his own. Odd. His own garden, once his pride and joy, stayed messy and untended. His own roof developed a crack that he never got around to fixing. His own windows remained broken. He was too busy fixing the town to fix his own life. Every single night, he would return home, completely exhausted. His hands would hurt, his back would ache, and his eyes would be heavy with fatigue. But through it all, he still managed to put on a smile. One night, his mother, who had been watching this pattern for a long time, sat with him. Voice was soft but laced with a deep, weary concern. "Daniel," she asked gently, "why do you give everything you have to people who give you nothing back in return?" Daniel just smiled his usual smile. "One day, Mom," he said, "one day they'll understand, they'll see." But days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months bled into years, and nothing changed. The cycle continued, unbroken. Then, one fateful evening, the sky darkened ominously. A fierce wind began to roar through the town, tearing at trees and rattling windows. People scrambled, rushing to save their belongings from the impending storm. And Daniel, true to form, ran too. But he didn't run to his own home. He went straight to help a friend secure their property. Together, they saved tools from the rain. They moved heavy boxes to higher ground, recovered valuable equipment. All the while, Daniel's own garden, his little sanctuary, was left completely open, uncovered, and utterly unprotected. And then the storm hit. With a vengeance, the rain came down in sheets. A torrential downpour that destroyed everything Daniel had worked so hard to cultivate in his own space. His plants drowned under the deluge of water. His outdoor furniture broke apart. The wood of his porch soaked through and began to crack and splinter. When the storm finally passed, and a quiet stillness fell over the town, Daniel returned home. He walked through the wreckage of his garden and sat down in the mud, in complete and utter silence, just staring at the ruin that was once his pride. His mother came out, a warm towel in her hands. She gently placed it over his shivering shoulders and spoke one single sentence. One sentence that would shatter his world and change everything. She said, "You saved everyone, Daniel. It's everyone except yourself." That night, listening to those words echo in the silence, something inside Daniel finally broke. The smile he had worn for years as a mask finally crumbled. But what he did next, what he decided in that moment of devastation, would shock the entire town and change his life forever. Daniel didn't sleep that night. His body was exhausted, but his mind was louder than ever. And for the very first time, he dared to ask himself a dangerous question. What if my kindness is the reason my life is falling apart? Early the next morning, he found himself walking toward the edge of town. Near the quiet flowing river lived an old retired teacher, Mr. Harris. People whispered that he understood life better than any book could ever teach. Daniel sat beside him, the weight of the world on his shoulders, and spoke with raw honesty. "I help everyone," he said, his voice barely a whisper, "but I feel so empty. I'm not tired from work. I'm tired from people. That is being good hurts so much." Mr. Harris didn't answer right away. He just watched the river, its surface calm and steady. Then he asked Daniel to look closer. This river, he began, it gives water to everything. The trees, the birds, the farms, the animals. But what happens when it forgets its own limits? Floods, and it destroys everything in its path. Then, he said something that would echo in Daniel's mind forever. Kindness without limits becomes self-destruction. You say yes to everyone, Daniel, but in doing so, you're saying no to yourself. You think refusing to help is wrong, but sometimes saying no is the most honest form of self-respect you can have. Mr. Harris gave Daniel a challenge, a simple one, but one that felt monumental. For the next 7 days, he said, do not say yes immediately. When someone asks for your help, pause, just for a moment, and ask yourself one simple question. Will helping this person damage my peace, my time, or my health? If the answer is yes, then you must say, not today. That very same day, a friend rushed to Daniel, asking for help with a familiar urgency. Daniel's eyes drifted to his own broken fence, a chore he had ignored for months, always too busy fixing everyone else's problems. His heart, conditioned by years of people-pleasing, screamed yes, but his voice for the first time found a different word. Not today, he said, looking his friend in the eye. I need to fix my own life first. The friend was visibly shocked and walked away, grumbling. A wave of guilt washed over Daniel, but he stayed. He picked up his tools, and he fixed his fence. And as the last nail went in, a feeling he hadn't felt in years surged through him. Pride. The next few days were uncomfortable, to say the least. People asked for favors. Daniel, politely but firmly, refused. And something strange, something unexpected, began to happen. With every no, he felt lighter, calmer. The constant buzz of anxiety in his mind began to quiet down. He felt stronger. One night, a heavy rainstorm hit the town. His old roof, another neglected task, began to leak, drip, drip, onto his floor. In the past, he would have panicked, called a dozen friends, desperately seeking help. But this time, he just waited. No one came. And instead of anger or disappointment, he felt a profound sense of clarity. He got his ladder, climbed onto the roof in the pouring rain, and fixed the leak himself. As he worked, he whispered to the stormy sky, so this is what strength feels like. Weeks turned into months. The Daniel everyone knew was gone, replaced by a new man. He woke up early. He tended to his garden, bringing life back to the soil. He read books, invested in himself, and the world around him reacted in a way he never could have predicted. People stopped using him. They started respecting him. They saw his boundaries, and, surprisingly, they began to solve their own problems. Daniel started smiling again, but this time, it was a genuine smile, free from the exhaustion that had plagued him for so long. One sunny afternoon, Mr. Harris came to visit. He looked around at Daniel's peaceful home, the fixed fence, the thriving garden. He turned to Daniel and asked with a knowing look, "So, did the world fall apart when you stopped saying yes to everyone?" Daniel smiled, a real deep smile that reached his eyes. "No," he replied.
Oh.
"My world finally came together, and this is the powerful truth that Daniel discovered. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you strong. Choosing your own peace isn't a weakness. It is the highest form of wisdom. When you give and give until there's nothing left, you don't just become empty. You lose yourself entirely. So respect your time, protect your energy, value your own heart. Because the moment you start respecting yourself, the world has no choice but to follow your lead." If this story felt personal to you, if Daniel's struggle resonated deep within your soul, then maybe it was meant for you to hear. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Start with one small no, just one, and then watch with curiosity and courage as your own life begins to change. Thanks for watching. If this message helped you today, consider subscribing for more stories that empower you to build a life you love.